Well, good morning, everyone. Let me first make sure I'm at the right press conference. We are naming me as the new bench coach, correct? That's right. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to the Rays for hosting us today. One of the reasons I ran for mayor of St. Petersburg was to resolve seemingly intractable problems. Red light cameras, EMS negotiations with Pinellas County, the legal dispute over Al Lang Stadium, just to name a few. But none bigger, I don't think, than the contract between the city of St. Petersburg and our baseball team, the Tampa Bay Rays. I entered negotiations with Stu and Matt, and then Brian, mindful of a few things. One, that my job is to protect the taxpayers of St. Petersburg. I gave the citizens of this city my word on that. Two, that the window of opportunity for the Rays to remain in this region was closing with each passing year. I've long recognized that had this continued unresolved for several more years, the Rays would be wise enough to simply wait out the contract and move away, leaving us with nothing but a vacant building. And three, that while I am mayor of St. Petersburg, I am also an elected leader in this region, and am committed to ensuring that there is always a TB on the players' hats. It's far better than the alternative. Finally, I was and continue to be mindful of the fact that this is not an ordinary conflict. There is more at stake here than just an agreement between two parties. Baseball has been a part of St. Petersburg for more than 100 years. It's in our city's fabric. Like so many in our community, I'm grateful for the work of many of my predecessors and other civic leaders who have made the Sunshine City a spring training destination, then a home for minor league baseball, and finally, a home for Major League and the Rays. But we also must remember that in bringing baseball here to this building, a neighborhood was razed and scores of residents were displaced. As such, just as I have strived to protect St. Petersburg current and future residents throughout these negotiations, I've also tried to honor our past and do right by those who once called this place home. Today, I am pleased to announce what I believe is an unprecedented, good and fair agreement for the city of St. Petersburg. And I am especially pleased that what we'll be presenting to our city council is a memorandum of understanding rather than an amendment to the contract. An MOU has the least impact on our existing agreement. Further, an amendment would have been too tacit of an acknowledgement that the Rays are leaving. So with that, let me briefly explain to you the MOU. This agreement simply does what the Rays have been asking to do: evaluate locations in Pinellas and Hillsborough County. Evaluate means non-binding discussions only. It does not allow them to enter into any agreements with any other locations. The MOU is valid for 3 years. It provides protection and certainty for our taxpayers in that should the Rays find a location in the region but outside city limits, they will pay the city the following. From the time the agreement is approved through December 31st of 2018, the Rays will pay $4 million per year. For each year from 2019 through 2022, $3 million per year. For each year from 2023 through 2026, $2 million per year. It provides for in-kind consideration of up to $1 million for things like signage and in a new stadium. And it provides that if they were to go anywhere other than in the region, the terms of the MOU would no longer be valid and would be inadmissible in court. At this time, I'd like to thank our interim Chief Assistant City Attorney, Jackie Kovalerich, for her outstanding service to me and to our citizens in crafting this MOU. Thanks also to our City Attorney, John Wolf, Assistant City Attorney, McCall Dyer, and to my Deputy Mayor and Chief of Staff for their work on this issue. All of this is a result of the city and the Rays respecting our shared desire for our conversations to remain private. And so I thank Stu Sternberg, Matt Silverman, and Brian Auld, along with Ray's attorney, John Higgins, for their professionalism. And finally, I know that Brian will touch on the Rays' commitment to St. Petersburg in the years to come, but I want to make clear St. Petersburg's commitment to baseball. We are not ceding the Rays to Hillsborough County. St. Petersburg is a city on the rise. Thousands of residential units are being added to our downtown. Businesses are thriving. Through our art scene, the Firestone Grand Prix, the Blue Ocean Film Festival, and acclaim from the New York Times and others, we are raising our international profile. As the Rays evaluate Pinellas and Hillsborough County, my team at City Hall will be diligent and not just thinking about the future of this site without baseball, but preparing for the Rays to remain here in St. Pete through 2027 and beyond. So with that, I'd like to introduce the president of the Tampa Bay Rays, Brian Auld. Brian. Thank
you. Thank you very much, Mayor Kreisman. I'm honored to be here today representing the Tampa Bay Rays. This agreement marks the culmination of years of hard work and negotiation, and I'm personally grateful to Stu Sternberg, Matt Silverman, Michael Kalt, Melanie Lenz, John Higgins, and many others who have put their time and energy into achieving this compromise. I'm also very grateful to Mayor Kreisman and his staff. They've considered our needs while preserving the interests of the citizens of St. Petersburg. Their good faith efforts, cooperative spirit, and leadership have put us in position to secure the future of Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay. Today marks a significant step forward, but this is just the beginning of a long process. Together, as a region and as a community, we can now begin seeking a solution for the future of this great organization. Today, we pledge to take a fresh look at all possibilities for our future home in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. Over the coming months, we will establish a plan and a process to evaluate every option. But right now, this organization's focus is on 2015. We have an energetic and exciting new manager in Kevin Cash. We have a deep and talented roster, more than capable of playing meaningful games late into September. In fact, Matt, Stu, Kevin, and the rest of our baseball operations staff are hard at work in San Diego at the winter meetings, focused on accomplishing that very goal. Our mission, to energize the community through the magic of Major League Baseball, remains our priority. Tampa Bay is my home. I've lived here for longer than I've lived anywhere else, so I'm incredibly proud to be a member of this great community. All of us at the Rays feel the same way. Today, we are grateful and thankful to be one step closer towards securing the Rays in Tampa Bay for generations to come. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Chris?
Tell me how you arrived at the compensation.
You know, anytime you're having negotiations, one side starts in one place, the other side starts in another place. And if you're able to reach a compromise, you typically meet somewhere in between those two numbers, and that's really what happened in our negotiations. We reached a point that we thought was a good deal and a fair deal for the city of St. Petersburg, and one that the Rays obviously were able to accept also.
Is it intended, though, to compensate for the loss of economic activity? Or, how did the city arrive at a number that you feel protects taxpayers' investment in the shop?
You know, it's looking at the whole picture of the economic impact to the city, and also recognizing that as you get closer to the end of the agreement, of the lease of the use agreement, the value and the damages decrease, and so that's why it's structured in the way it is.
Mayor, what would you say to former Mayor Foster and other critics who suggest you sold out way too cheaply on this deal?
Well, Bill Foster was mayor for 4 years and wasn't able to get a deal done with this team. You know, would we like to have gotten more? Of course. Would the Rays like to have paid less? Of course. What we've got is a deal that we believe is good for the citizens of this community and is a fair deal.
And you suggested there's a real heritage to this site that you want to honor with the people who lived here and the history of this. If this site is no longer the site of Major League Baseball and Tropicana Field, what is your vision for this site?
Well, and that's part of the process that we're going to be engaged in as a community, is looking at this site from the standpoint of what could it look like with Major League Baseball here, either in the existing facility or in a new facility. And what would it look like with no facility here? And that is part of the study that we'll be doing and engaged in as we go forward.
So you're not ruling out the possibility of demolishing this stadium and building another one perhaps next year?
I'm not ruling out anything that keeps the Rays here in St. Petersburg.
Mayor Kreisman, what will you do to prevent this situation becoming a tug of war of one county versus the other, as so many issues have over the years in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a Hillsborough versus Pinellas issue. The Rays are going to be, and Brian can probably speak to this better than me, but they're going to evaluate the various areas that they're interested in and determine feasibility. My personal belief is that when they get done with their evaluations, what they're going to find is that the best place for them to play is right here in St. Pete and potentially right here on this site.
What is that based on?
All you have to do is look what's happening in the city right now, especially in this area of town that we're in the Edge District, and what's happening a little west in Grand Central. This area is on the rise. Places like Ferg's, they're jamming right now, and it's going to continue to grow. We've got housing units that are continuing to develop right around this area. This city is taking off, and what better place to be than right here in St. Petersburg for this team? Brian, I don't know if you want to add into that.
Yes, certainly we would agree and hope that it would not become any sort of tug of war between the two counties and that it wouldn't get contentious. What is crucial for us is that we find the best place in this region for the Rays, and wherever that is should be best for both counties when all is said and done as well.
Are you leaning toward Hillsborough County at this point?
We're taking a fresh look at all possibilities on both sides of the bay in both counties. We do not have any preconceived notions at this point, and we're really starting, hopefully after Thursday, with a brand new look and approach.
Brian, what will the team do to make sure this doesn't become a Miami Marlins situation where we spend years of looking for tax dollars? We'll be as open as we can throughout this process with the community, and we do not want to be anything but open. Two, it's premature for me to explain exactly how we're going to go about this process because we're going to spend the next few months building that plan.
We've already heard from city or from government leaders in Hillsborough County suggesting there's not going to be any sweetheart deals like for Ray J Stadium. Does that essentially throw cold water on this before you ever get started?
Well, like you said, we have not started yet, and we look forward to getting started. We are approaching it fresh, and I'm not concerned about what's happened to this point. I'm just really looking forward to the future.
To what extent would you count on government funding for any stadium that you build, whether it's here or anywhere else?
Again, it's way too early for me to answer that question.
With the change in leadership in Major League Baseball, has the view at the top of baseball changed in regard to whether or not Tampa Bay in general is a viable baseball market?
I can tell you that the Commissioner's office is very pleased that we are this close to an agreement, and they're happy that the mayor and the Rays have been so cooperative in striving to get to the next steps.
Mayor, are you concerned that this agreement might be viewed as the beginning of the end of the Rays in St. Petersburg?
No, I'm not. And again, all this simply does is allow them to evaluate sites. As I mentioned before, I believe that when they complete their evaluation, what they're going to find is that the best location for them is right here in St. Petersburg. I have total faith and confidence in this community and what we have to offer, in the people of this community. And I'm excited for this process to begin because I do believe that when it's completed, we're still going to be calling, the Rays are still going to be calling St. Petersburg their home.
There's nothing in the contract about demolition costs. Is there going to be any provisions at some point to get help from the Rays to pay for that and when that?
When we were negotiating the terms, the costs of demolition were factored in to the potential damages, but it also recognizes that any potential development that might occur on this site, should the Rays leave, those costs of demolition could be picked up by that developer.
Mayor, a lot of people look at the channel side district, and have you been in contact at all with Mr. Bennett about putting a stadium over there? It seems that the little area is getting smaller and smaller over there. Have you been in contact with Jeff Bennett about putting a stadium there?
I personally haven't because I want the stadium staying right here. Now, as to whether the Rays will be in contact with him if the agreement is approved on Thursday, my suspicion is that that would be part of their evaluation process, but I would agree with you. I think locating a stadium down there is very challenging. If anyone's been to a Lightning game, you know how difficult it is for ingress and egress It's very easy getting in and out of Tropicana Field when you go to a game. Steve.
Good question for both of you, really. What are you going to do if the St. Petersburg City Council turns down this memorandum?
You know, council ultimately has the final say on this deal. I think it's a fair deal. I think it's a good deal. I think if you know, it puts us in a position that will be very difficult, quite frankly, in going forward and trying to renegotiate a deal. I think ultimately what it could mean is that the Rays, I can't speak for the Rays, so. Yeah.
I've not spent time thinking about that. We're focusing on getting through Thursday. We believe that it's going to be an optimistic and positive result for us, and I'm encouraged about what we're hearing so far.
Did you rule out further negotiations?
I wouldn't rule anything out.
Mayor, how important was, obviously, in the deal ended up with the back-end payments. How did you fight for front-end payments or exploration fee? Continue to talk about it.
Yeah, if you do, we wanted this to be a memorandum of understanding, not an amendment to the agreement. If you did an amendment to the agreement, there would have been traditionally some kind of compensation that would take place as consideration for that amendment. This is not an amendment. As such, it didn't require compensation. Additionally, if we're looking at this team, and obviously I still believe this is the best location for the team, but if we're looking at this team as a regional asset, I think it's pretty tough to say to the person on the other side of the table, listen, we want you to stay in the region, and to have you do that, we want you to pay us money. We want them to stay in this region. We'd like them to stay in St. Petersburg, but ultimately we want them to stay in the region. This was the best way to accomplish that.
Mayor, do you worry at all that you put a value on what it would cost for the team to basically leave the area if they decide?
We need to be very clear here, and I appreciate you asking this question. The value or the amount that would be paid pursuant to this agreement only is if the team relocates outside city limits in Pinellas or Hillsborough County. Anything outside the region, the terms of this agreement are no longer valid and are not admissible in any subsequent court proceeding. So we do not believe we have placed any kind of cap or set a benchmark. And additionally, the agreement recognizes that anything outside the region would cause irreparable harm.
Mayor, what does it mean to be a major league city to you? Just what value do you place on that?
Well, certainly I think we are a major league city. And I would say that, and we love having the Rays here. We want the Rays to stay here. But I think we're a major league city even if the Rays were to leave here. You don't get named one of the 52 places in the world to visit if you're not a city of substance. We have cultural amenities here in this community that other cities are dying to have. We have a waterfront park system that ranks among the largest in all of North America. We are a world-class city. We are one with the Rays, but we would be one without the Rays.
Mayor Kreisman, this took you almost a full year since taking office, and obviously the city much longer. What was the single biggest sticking point of this negotiation?
Well, I think that the first, let me just say what the most important thing I think that we needed to do right from the beginning was, which was to establish a level of trust between the two parties. And I said this during my campaign, that I felt that the level of trust, without pointing a finger at either side, had broken down. And it's hard to have meaningful negotiations with the person sitting on the other side of the table from you if you don't trust them. So that was, I think, the most important thing that we needed to do in order to get to the point where we're at here sitting today and having this press conference, is we had to rebuild a level of trust between the city and the team, and clearly we did that.
In terms of the language, was there a sticking point or two that held things up this long, though?
No, it was rebuilding the relationship, talking through what we were trying to accomplish, and quite frankly, from our perspective, trying to figure out what was the way to accomplish what the Rays were hoping to do, while at the same time, as I said, I would always do, protect the taxpayers of this city. That was my primary objective, and finding a way to make sure that we did that, but yet allow the Rays to do some exploration took time, because and ultimately we've done that.
Do you think you could have done better with the negotiations if you had taken a little bit more time?
No. We took as much time as we needed to get this done, and this is a good deal for the citizens of the city of St. Petersburg. I'm very, very comfortable with this deal.
Brian, I have a question. Can you say that this agreement expands, maybe this as a guarantee we'll see the Rays in Tampa Bay for the foreseeable future?
We have immense challenges ahead of us in terms of finding our new home and our future home, and it's not going to be easy to get there. What this agreement allows us to do is pursue those opportunities with some certainty about what the costs are going to be involved, certainly the exit costs. And the mayor's mentioned it. He came to understand that had these payments been significantly higher, they would prohibit us from being able to do a new deal. They could be crippling to whatever business needs we had going into a new ballpark. So what this current agreement allows us to do is pursue those options. Again, that's going to be a significant challenge, but with a certain degree of certainty.
Brian, what are the Rays' immediate next steps?
Our next steps are to get through Thursday's city council meeting with a positive result, and then we will sit down together and develop a plan and a process to go forward, to evaluate every option in both Hillsborough and Pinellas counties.
One more question. Is it your expectation that the Rays will put a significant amount of money into the new stadium, and can you give us a range of what that might be?
I cannot do that. We don't know what kind of a ballpark we're going to build, nor do we know where we're going to build it. We want to build a ballpark that represents the future of Major League ballparks, and as such, there are a lot of factors yet to be determined. Architects are doing new and amazing things, and it's very difficult for us to pinpoint what the overall costs are going to be or what any Rays contribution may look like.
Brian, congratulations, by the way, becoming president.
Thank you.